Hello, my name's Kevin Toffenberg. I've been refurbishing a Bridgeport mill. I got a whole series. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, you might want to. It's a beautiful mid-October here in East Tennessee, but I'm playing catch up on some of my video, and you're gonna see in this video that I'm sick. I was actually quite sick. I don't usually get sick that often, but it acted like COVID, but I took a couple COVID tests and they were negative, so I don't know what it was. Anyway, I think we got a good show for you today. We're gonna finish the assembly of the knee, get it going up and down, get it flaked, gonna get the work on the saddle, and maybe start a little bit on the cross slide nut. So I think we got a good show for you, and if you enjoy it, please give a thumbs up and some feedback. Thanks. I'm fighting a cold, so my voice is out. I'm putting scratch marks on here, which is called flaking, to retain oil. I had originally wanted to make a straight edge and then be able to check it for flatness and get it properly scraped in, but I wasn't able to succeed on that. So I'm just trying to put some flaking marks in there to retain oil so that as the two surfaces are sliding, they won't stick. Got my bevel gear installed. This is a 1/2" 20 thread, which is fine. There was a key that I couldn't find, but luckily I had another one on stock. Got that tightened up. I added this washer because I wanted something to help hold that key in, and I didn't think that that nut was large enough for that. And I don't know that there was a washer there before, but I don't think it should cause any problems. My next part is this. This will mate with the bevel gear to raise and lower the knee. It's the bearing. It spins real nice, so I think that's fine. There's another bearing in here, and it also spins nicely. I think theoretically this unit can slide off, and I might be able to clean in there a little bit better, but there's a key, and I seem to recall that this is a little bit of a problem, so I think rather than fooling with it, I'm just gonna leave it in and put it right back where it was. And this is what will mate with the handle, and it rotates around until it finds that key. I don't know if I can find it. There it is. And then that goes in there, and then the handle will mate onto that. All right, let me go get this in. Well, bearings being ornery going into that race. There it goes. There we go. All right, we got one in. I actually thought that was going to be clocked wrong. I was going to have to line up the hole, but it looks like it went right in. It was a little stiff going in. All right, let's get a handle and see how it works. So I tightened up the gib. There's just a little bit of movement there still, so I think I'm going to tighten that up a little more until I can't move it anymore. Yeah, I don't feel any laxity there. It's going up and down nicely, so I think that'll work. All right. Next we have our Z dial. That just slides up over there. Spins nicely. And then our tightening nut. And there's our notch. That goes back on. Next I have the lock for the knee, and this is going to go in there and press against the gib. It's got this 1/4 20 screw, and I've got that so it slides in, but I can't remember what forces that in. It should be some sort of a handle. So I'm gonna need to go back and either look through my old records, my old videos of this, or see if I can find something online, because I can't remember how this goes together. All right, update. I took this back off. This is just a generic washer because I found this in my supplies, and I think that that's the washer that goes in there. It's kind of thick, but it fits right on there. I was a little confused about the lock here. I was thinking that there was going to be a lever here, and I think on newer versions of Bridgeport there are either 1 or 2 additional locks, but this lock is designed to work with a rod that goes to right here. And so this is this, and on the end it's got a cam. I don't know if you can see that notch there. And so this will go there. See it coming through there, and way in the back there. It goes in right there. Then there's a dog point set screw that goes in here that will go into that notch, and then a second set screw that jams it. And so this screw that goes in the back of that is really just for removal, so you can screw something in and then pull it out. That's the lock that presses up against the gib. So I was having an issue where that lock was not going in there very easily, and it kept going in and getting stuck. So I tried cleaning out with this, and I could only go in so far. So I actually then came back and took the gib out so that I pushed it until I could feel it pop into this gib space. And I went back and forth and, looked at it and cleaned it, got any burrs off, and then I got it going in pretty well. Then I've got the brake arm in there, and this, now to put in the set screws, this is a 5/16 18. So the first one we'll put in will be this dog screw, dog point maybe. All right, let me get that, and then I'll put the jam one in. All right, there we have it. And then it's just a push cap of some sort, just sets in there. I think the oil grooves are way too thin, way too shallow. So I'm gonna try to make them deeper. I've started here. I initially used this bit, which ended up being too much. It won't hurt it mechanically. I just don't think it needed to be that deep. So then I found this little burr, which seems to be doing better on this side. So I'm just gonna deepen up, make these grooves deeper. Here it is again on the, I think this is the top side. I think that's just way too shallow to be carrying oil. So I'm gonna make those deeper. I've got those all done. I'm not gonna show you real close because I feel like it's a second grader's handwriting. I'm going to flake the top there for oil retention. Okay, I have this surface all flaked for oil retention. I don't have the ability to check it for flatness, but I still think that being able to hold oil is gonna be a lot better. There was a lot of scoring here, and I think it was because it had this older system, which is where you're supposed to put pressurized oil, and I think people had put grease, so I don't think any of the oil was flowing through the channels, and then I think it was just scoring. Now, the other surface we need to think about is underneath this dovetail. Now, this is the side that has the gib. There's the hole for where the gib goes in, so there's not gonna be any motion of this because the gib will be there, and it'll be the face of the gib which moves along. So we don't need to scrape that side. But this other side, this side does need to, and again, it's got these little wimpy oil channels that I'll need to open up, and then I'll try to flake that surface in as best I can. It's gonna be difficult to get in there, but I'll see what I can do. My voice is so bad today. That's what I was able to get. I decided against trying to deepen those oil grooves because my burr like this was making just too wide a cut. I had this smaller burr, but it really was not cutting well. I think doing more harm than good. Plus, I don't know that I can get in there and smooth out the edges after it's been cut like I can on the top. So that flaking didn't do a whole lot, but conversely, maybe it didn't do a lot of harm. I've wire wheeled off the paint. There was no paint on this side or the other side, I believe. And I don't think there was, and there was no Bondo on either side. There was no Bondo here. I think there was some on these bevels because it's pretty rough there. And this all here, back here is smooth. So I don't think there was any here, but there might have been some in this curve. I'm gonna throw some black on here in this inner part just because it's quick. It's getting kind of late, so I think that's what we'll have time for today. And there she is. This is going to be visible in the front, so I haven't decided if I'm going to paint that black, but I think I'll probably paint it the gray that's the rest of the mill. I did paint the back, however, and these two sides, and then when I flip it over, I can put the Bondo on these parts, and then I'll paint the unmachined casting black, and there shouldn't be too much work to do on this one. Today's a new day. My voice is starting to come back. That's always good. I'm feeling a little bit better. I've got this saddle flipped over on its head, so back bottom side up. And we need to do some Bondo on this side and on this side. And then I think I'm going to paint on the inside here, not the machined parts, but this cast part there. There will be something that mounts there, so I may leave that part unpainted. I'll have to decide on that. But hopefully this might be my last Bondo I have to do on this machine. Started out nice this morning, but we're getting some rain now. That helps keep our grass green. Here I've got this all smeared up with peanut butter. Waiting for that to dry. Okay, I've got that Bondo sanded down. Looks good. Time for a coat of paint. I'm putting my oil wipers back on here. They were a little bit hard, so I soaked them in some acetone and just kind of loosened up a little bit, and then I soaked them in a light grade oil, and they're nice and saturated now, so I've already put that one on with a button heads hex screw. This is the nut holder. It's upside down, but it kind of goes in here, and it holds one nut for the Y-axis and one nut for the Z-axis. And this is an older style Bridgeport. So if you notice here, there's this little opening. And if you notice, see if I can find it, maybe flipped over on China, there was a mark that said something about oil and nut. And I think, and then the last piece of the puzzle, my ugly table, right there is a set screw. And I think that goes all the way through. So the way that you were supposed to oil this thing was to move the table to a specific position, then put oil down there. That would go into the first nut, dribble through, and see right there, there's an opening at the bottom, and then that's supposed to come through. You can't even really see it coming through. But my point is, that thing is completely packed with grease because someone put grease apparently into those zerts instead of oil. Either that or the oil is just dried up. So I'm going to take this probe and work on seeing if I can get that cleared up. This is really hard. Oh, there it's going through. You probably can't see it, but it's starting to pop through the bottom there. Thick, almost like dirt. One of these little plastic sprayers shown by WD-40 thing might be just perfect for getting in there. Well, that wasn't so hard. I don't like this arrangement, and I'm trying to figure out how to put on a one-shot oiler zert. When I redid my other mill, it had zerts going in here, but I don't know exactly where they came in. Some concerns I have is that if I put it on the top, you know, the table may hit there. So I'm guessing I would need to probably come in here and put it at the side. That should be fine, like there. So that would be for the top one. And then I would need to maybe have a hole going through to run a tube
to get to one down here. And excuse me, the nuts, they're over there on the floor, so I'm not going to get them up. They're split, so I'm assuming that the oil needs to go right in between those two nuts. So it would need to be pretty much at midline. So I'm guessing maybe I could come in, say right there, maybe come in right on the side. All right, I've got my chip guard on here beforehand, and now I'm gonna go put the saddle back on here. I've already stoned that. We'll put some whey oil in and see how that feels. That's not the right one. This is what we're looking for. So I cleaned this up. I deepened the grooves with this little ball. I don't know if that's diamond tipped or what that is, but it did seem to do a pretty good job in this cast iron. And then I just flaked it. I'll stone that, make sure there's no burrs, although it feels smooth, and then get that put in. Okay. I guess I could go back and look through the old footage, but I'm not going to do that right now. When I go to put in this shim, I go to put in this gib, I found in my supplies I have 3 shims here, which is, what you can do if you're not able to get the gib tight enough. I think I'm going to put it in and then see what kind of play I get. If I use shims, here's where the oil comes in, and there's an oil reservoir. And if I put that shim over there, that's going to block my oil. So I would want to come up with a better solution to at least let the oil through there. But let's just see what it looks like without anything. I may not be able to tell until after I get the table on, or I can have more leverage for twisting it to see whether there's play. Okay, that's all the way in. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so gotta be shimmed. I'm gonna work on that. I've taken one of the shims that was before, flipped it over, scored in here to get the notch just right. I also scored through the oil access hole, and I can see that's right there. I'm now gonna take one of my punches and see if I can punch through this. We will see. Maybe so. Look at that. And there I've got my oil hole. That should work. You see right through there. All right, now I'm gonna put that in and see if it's enough. I may have to do another layer. Okay, so I've got some shim stock here. I think it may be like 5 thousandths. And I'm going to make it so that it does not extend above or below it, because I don't want it rubbing. I'm gonna score this. And let me cut it out. 4.5 thousandths on that, so it must be probably 5. And just to point out the obvious, there's 2 sides on the shim. One is sliding along the inside of the dovetail on the knee, and the other is not moving relative to the saddle. So you need to flake the one side so it's retaining oil, and then the shim will need to go on the other side of that. Yeah, that should work. So now, the other thing is, I was concerned as I was inserting the gib that the oil access hole, it depends on where you adjust your gib, and I was concerned that just putting one hole wasn't going to be enough. So I actually converted this into a slit, and I may extend this up this way a little bit more, but to me it seems like a slit. The oil's going to get through there. Okay, so I got 2 shims here. I put the nice one on the outside, or the surface there. a little finicky. Well, I can still feel just a little bit of play in there. So I think I'm gonna need to put a third shim, but I'm out of time for today. It's coming together. Okay, I put a third shim in here, so for a total of 15 thousandths of shimming, and just a tiny bit of wiggle. I'm going to leave that for right now. I can actually tighten this up some more. The problem is, if I got good movement here, if I get to right there, it sticks. And that's about the place where I can start seeing flaking again. So this is original width. It then gets skinnier here where there's wear. And then if I came back any farther from here, it would stick. So I think I'm just gonna wait till I get the table on and see if I can adjust it anymore. All right, so the next thing is I put in my nut, and I went down to the Knox maker space and I tapped for a 1/4 20 set screw, and I put a set screw there with some super glue to hold it and made sure that it did not come through there. I then tapped that 6mm by 1 metric push to connect port for the oiler. Can't get my words out. And then another one down here, so that way I don't have to depend on oil dripping from here down into there, although I did not plug up that inner hole. All right, so let's put this in here. And it's got pins in here so that it can only go in one way. And I was really stressing out about whether there's gonna have clearance problems. And I think I'm gonna be able to make a tight turnaround there with that. And I will have clearance to get down there for my tube for oiling down there. I just realized I've got to put my shield plates down here, so I'm gonna have to take this back off. I'm gonna do that off camera. Well, I think I'm just gonna cut it off there. The next section gets into the oiler, and I've got a bunch of footage about that, and I think it's gonna make the video too long. As I've been sitting here editing, I've been having my favorite lap dog, and she's been a good companion. Hope you enjoyed all that. Thumbs up, comments, and next time we'll keep going with the oiler, and she's sure looking good. Thanks.
Peace out.